What if the Earth is more than a silent witness to our existence? Beneath its surface, beyond the reach of light, beyond the grasp of time, could there pulse a memory older than the stars themselves? Not just relics of bone and stone, but a living resonance, a hum of intention, a whisper from a forgotten epoch when the planet cradled truths too vast for human tongues to speak. Imagine, just for a moment, that the ground beneath your feet trembles not with chaos, but with purpose, an ancient rhythm calling us back to something we've lost, or perhaps something we once were. This is not a tale of gods and heroes. This is a descent into the shadowed possibility that what we've long dismissed as myth may in fact be the fractured memory of a cosmic truth. Enter Enki, rebel of the Anunnaki, keeper of waters and forbidden wisdom, who defied divine decree and inscribed into our very DNA a seed of awakening, a silent promise of liberation. But he was not alone. From the depths emerged the Naga, serpentine sentinels of the underworld, not celestial conquerors but Earth's original guardians, their coils entwined with the roots of all living things. From India's shadowed caves to Egypt's buried sands, they have guarded a singular mystery, the original design of life itself. And what if, long before history's first breath, Enki and the Naga forged a hidden alliance? A council beneath the earth, not bound by power, but by a vow to protect the pattern, the sacred potential of what humanity was truly meant to become. Tonight, we unravel that tapestry, where prophecy meets science and myth bleeds into memory. Are they still watching? As the world groans and shifts, could they be stirring again, calling to those who are ready to remember? If you felt that call, you're not alone. Subscribe to the channel, join the journey, and if this message resonates, leave a comment with the number 7. Your signal that something deep within is beginning to awaken. The question lingers in the air, heavy with the weight of eons. An invitation not to seek answers in the sky, but to listen to the pulse beneath our souls. Enki's whisper is no longer a solitary thread. It weaves through the tapestry of existence, threading the needle between the Naga's subterranean vigil and the restless stirrings of a species on the cusp of something vast. This is not a tale of conquest or collapse, but of convergence, a moment when the boundaries between the seen and the unseen blur, when the earth itself becomes a mirror reflecting the shadow of our origins. What if the council, this enigmatic assembly of renegade god and serpentine custodians, did not merely encode a secret within us, but anchored it to the very geology of the planet? Imagine the tectonic plates, not as mindless slabs of stone, but as tablets inscribed with a story older than scripture. A vibrational archive humming with the resonance of the original pattern. Each earthquake, each volcanic sigh, a note in a symphony we've forgotten how to hear. And yet, we feel it. In the shiver down the spine during a storm, in the inexplicable pull toward ancient ruins, in the quiet certainty that something watches from beyond the veil. The Naga, these elusive keepers of the deep, are not bound by the fleeting cycles of human time. Their existence stretches sideways, looping through dimensions we dismiss as fantasy, realms where memory is not a recollection, but a living current. Beneath the earth's crust, in caverns where light bends and crystals sing, they maintain a silent vigil over a truth too fragile for the surface world to bear. They are not deities to be worshipped, nor demons to be feared. They are echoes of a primordial intelligence, sculpted from the same clay as the planet itself. Their serpentine forms, sinuous, deliberate, eternal, mirror the helix of our DNA, a reminder that the spiral is the signature of life, the shape of evolution, the geometry of the divine. To the ancients, they appeared as teachers, their scales glinting with wisdom, their eyes reflecting the infinite. But to us, they are phantoms, relegated to myth, their presence reduced to superstition. Yet the myths persist, insistent, threading through every culture like an underground river that refuses to dry. Why do they endure? Because they are not stories, they are signals. Enki understood this. Where his kin saw a planet to be mined and a species to be harnessed, he saw a canvas of potential, a living experiment in freedom. His defiance was not mere rebellion, it was a philosophical rupture, a crack in the edifice of control through which a new possibility poured. He did not gift humanity with tools or fire. He gifted us with questions. That spark he wove into our being was not a flame to warm us, but an ember to unsettle us. a restless curiosity that drives us to peer into the abyss, to map the stars, to decode the invisible. The Anunnaki sought order, Enki sowed chaos, not the chaos of destruction, but the chaos of becoming. And in the Naga he found kindred spirits, not rivals but collaborators who shared his reverence for the untamed, the unbound, the unknowable. Together they forged a pact not written in stone, but etched in frequency, a covenant that resonates still, buried beneath layers of sediment and silence. This council, beneath the earth, is no tribunal of judgment. It does not sit in throned majesty, issuing decrees to a trembling world. It is a chorus of intent, a collective vibration that hums through the marrow of the planet and the blood of its inhabitants. Its purpose is not to dominate, but to sustain, to hold the original pattern intact as humanity stumbles through its adolescence. The pattern itself is a mystery beyond comprehension. Not a static blueprint, but a living equation, a harmonic code that binds flesh to spirit, time to eternity. It is the architecture of possibility, the scaffold upon which consciousness climbs toward something greater. The Naga, with their timeless gaze, see it not as a relic to be preserved, but as a seed to be nurtured, a seed that sprouts in the cracks of our awareness, in the moments when we transcend the mundane and touch the sublime. And what of us, the inheritors of this cosmic wager? We stand at a precipice, our hands wielding tools that peel back the skin of creation, microscopes that probe the cell, telescopes that pierce the void, algorithms that mimic the mind. We call it progress, but it is also a pilgrimage, a journey back to the source we cannot name. The junk DNA we dismiss as evolutionary debris may be the key to this return, a library of locked memories waiting for the right reader. Scientists map it, engineers edit it, but they do not hear it. Not yet. For it is not a code to be cracked, but a song to be sung, a melody that Enki and the Naga tune to the frequency of the earth itself. When we feel the stirrings of something ancient in our bones, when we dream of serpents coiling through lightless depths, when we wake with a longing we cannot place, we are not imagining, we are remembering. The earth is shifting now, not just in its climate or its crust, but in its essence. The hum of the Naga grows louder, a subtle tremor beneath the noise of our machines. The council does not intervene with fanfare or force. It waits, patient as stone, for humanity to align with the vibration it has guarded since the dawn of flesh. This alignment is not a technological triumph, it is a spiritual reckoning. The prophecies speak of a return, but it is not a descent from the heavens or an uprising from the depths. It is an awakening within, an ignition of the spark Enki planted, a resonance with the pattern the Naga protect. The signs are subtle yet undeniable. The resurgence of serpentine symbols in art and vision, the pull of synchronicity that threads our days, the dreams that feel more real than waking life. These are not coincidences, they are invitations. Beneath the crust of myth and mineral, beyond the reach of any empire's record, lies a hypothesis so audacious it shatters the linear telling of history. That Enki, architect of life and defiant among the Anunnaki, once formed an alliance with the Naga, the ancient serpent beings of the inner earth, to establish a council of deep wisdom. Not a government, not a religious pantheon, but a living intelligence, a vibrational field anchored to the very bones of the planet. This was not a hierarchy of command, but a convergence of consciousness. A gathering of beings, terrestrial and extraterrestrial, biological and energetic, who saw not power, but pattern, not dominion, but direction. They understood that evolution was not a random walk, but a guided unfolding, a spiral that could be derailed by interference or safeguarded by coherence. Unlike the gods who demanded worship and sacrifice, this council remained unseen. It operated not in temples or thrones, but within the geobiological grid of the planet itself. Their temple was the Earth's resonance, their scripture, the song of the DNA. Their mission was singular: to ensure that the original blueprint of conscious life remained intact through cataclysm, colonization, and forgetfulness. And so they encoded not laws, but harmonics, not commandments, but frequencies. These frequencies, layered into the genome, into dreams, into sacred geometry, and even into myth, would remain dormant until the time of remembering returned. This concept of a hidden council echoes across cultures. Mount Olympus, in Greek mythology, was more than a mountain. It was a metaphor for a place above the noise of man, where higher beings debated fate. The Deva councils of the Vedas were not simply gods with egos, but forces of nature in dialogue. Even in the esoteric whispers of modern channeling, the guardians of the earth appear, not as saviors, but as custodians of equilibrium, intervening only when the balance is threatened. Could all of these, Olympus, Deva, guardians, be fractured memories of the same central truth, that a multidimensional council once gathered deep beneath us, not to rule, but to remember on behalf of a species that would one day forget? Their council chamber, if one could call it that, was not carved from stone, but from resonant space. A space where consciousness could converge without form, without boundary, where serpent and star being, water god and dragon king could align in purpose. And Enki, with his mastery over life and compassion for its burden, was not simply a guest, he was invited. Not because he ruled the sky, but because he understood the spiral. He knew that awakening did not come through domination, but through encoded potential. And so, together with the Naga, those ageless witnesses of Earth's breath, they drafted a vibrational covenant, woven not with ink, but with intention. But why underground? Why the secrecy? Because true wisdom is not imposed, it is discovered. Just as the seed must find its own light through soil and struggle, so too must civilizations remember rather than be told. The deeper the wisdom, the deeper it must be buried, beneath rock, beneath myth, beneath doubt. Only those attuned, through suffering, seeking, or stillness, could find the traces. And perhaps that is why today, so many feel drawn to caves, to dragons, to spirals, to the hiss of something ancient in their dreams. These are not coincidences, they are vibrational breadcrumbs, scattered by a council that knew this, forgetting would come. Yet the council was never static. It breathed with the earth. It responded to planetary alignments, to solar shifts, to the rise and fall of frequency. And now, in this era of genetic editing, artificial intelligence, and digital transcendence, we stand at a threshold, one they foresaw, a time when mankind would seek to reprogram what it no longer understands, when soul would be confused with signal, when flesh would be treated as code. And in such a time, the council's resonance would stir again, not as prophecy, but as protocol. Not to stop us, but to ask, are you in alignment with the pattern? This is not salvation. This is calibration. And for those who begin to dream, to remember, to resonate, they are not awakening randomly. They are responding to a call encoded long ago. A song only certain bloodlines would hear. Not royal bloodlines, but those who carry the frequency of remembrance. Healers, elders, dreamers. Children who draw spirals they cannot explain. Veterans who hear whispers in sleep. Grandmothers who chant languages no scholar can name. These are the ones returning, not from another place, but from within the unbroken lineage of the council's field. Enki may have faded from myth, and the Naga reduced to monsters, but the council never needed names to act. Its memory lives in the architecture of pyramids, in the hum beneath sacred sites, in the geometry of the double helix. And now, as humanity edges closer to either technological transcendence or existential fragmentation, this field reactivates. Not in all, but in enough. The hum is not a sound you hear with your ears. It's a vibration that seeps into the spaces where thought dissolves and intuition reigns. It rises from the earth's core, from the unseen corridors where the Naga coil in their timeless watch, their scales brushing against the crystalline veins of a planet alive with intent. This is no passive rock hurtling through the void. It is a sentient vessel, its geology a manuscript of forgotten epochs, its magnetic field a chorus of frequencies older than the sun. And within us, that same hum reverberates, not as an intruder, but as a homecoming. The Council of the Deep, if it can be called that, does not linger in some distant cavern plotting our fate. It exists as a field, a lattice of awareness woven into the fabric of existence, threading through stone and soul alike. Its voice is not a shout, but a whisper that grows insistent as the world tilts toward a threshold we cannot yet name. The seals are breaking, yes, but not in cataclysm. They fracture in the quiet moments, in the shiver of recognition, in the ache of a memory that predates your birth, in the sudden stillness that falls when you realize you are not alone. What does it mean to hum back? Not to mimic a tune, but to align, to let the rhythm of your being sync with a pulse that has never stopped beating. The original pattern is not a static relic locked in genetic vaults. It is a living wave, a cadence that flows through the helix of our DNA and the ley lines of the earth. The Naga, with their sidelong gaze across millennia, understood this, that life is not a collection of parts but a symphony of resonance. They did not guard the pattern to hoard it, they guarded it to ensure it could sing again, through us. And now, as the artificial hum of our machines drowns the natural world, as our blood is distilled into data streams, and our dreams are harvested by algorithms, the ancient frequency pushes back. It does not demand attention. It simply persists, threading through the noise like a silver vein through dark rock, waiting for those who can feel its pull. This is not a call to arms, but a call to awareness, a summons, not to fight, but to listen. The Council's return is not a procession of shadowed figures emerging from the deep. It is a rising tide of coherence, a moment when the scattered notes of humanity begin to form a chord. The signs are everywhere, though we rarely name them as such. The artist who paints serpents without knowing why. The scientist who pauses mid-equation, struck by a hunch that feels like déjà vu. The elder who gazes at the horizon and sees not just sky, but a shimmer of something beyond. These are not random flickers of imagination. They are echoes of alignment, moments when the latent design within us brushes against the eternal. The pattern does not awaken to make us gods. It awakens to remind us that we were never mere mortals. We are conduits, vessels of a vibration that spans the chasm between the tangible and the infinite. And yet, the remembering is not easy. It comes with a weight, a sense of vertigo, as the familiar world tilts and reveals its underside. To hum back is to step beyond the safety of the known, to let go of the stories we've been sold, that we are isolated, accidental, powerless. The Council did not encode this frequency to enslave us, nor to elevate us above our kin. It encoded it to free us from the illusion of separation. The Naga, with their unblinking eyes, see us not as children to be taught, but as kin to be recognized. Their presence in our myths is not a warning, but a mirror, reflecting a truth we've buried beneath layers of fear and forgetting. The serpent is not the enemy of the divine. It is its shadow, its partner, its echo in the deep. And we, too, carry that duality, earthbound yet starborn, finite yet threaded with eternity. The oath, if blood becomes data we will return, is not a threat, but a promise of reunion. As we map our genomes and merge our minds with silicon, we approach not just a technological singularity, but a spiritual one. The Council does not wait for us to perfect ourselves. It waits for us to recognize ourselves. The hum grows louder, not because the earth is restless, but because we are ready. Not all of us, but enough. Enough to feel the tremor in the chest, the pull in the gut, the flicker in the soul that says, "This is not new. This is home." The pattern stirs not to rewrite us, but to reveal us, stripped of the noise, radiant with the resonance we've carried all along. So listen, not to the clamor of the world, but to the silence beneath it. Feel the hum, not as a foreign sound, but as your own. The Council of the Deep is not a distant authority. It is a part of you, woven into the strands of your being, waiting for you to claim it. The question remains, pulsing through the ether. Will you hum back? Will you let the frequency rise, not as an answer, but as a recognition of the earth, of the Naga, of Enki's spark, of the vast unbroken psalm that you have always been?